It's Sunday, May 20th, 2018. It's time for Sunday Smorgasbord. And we'll start with the channel's health. It's not so good. We only had 36 views on 5 videos that we did this week. Took a couple days off from making videos. I don't think I'm gonna keep making them every single day. Maybe if the channel gets bigger, I'll start making them every day again. But it's I'm kind of forcing myself to put these things out every day, and every day I don't really have a topic I'm super into. So I'm gonna go to just kind of doing them when I feel like it, until the channel picks up a little bit more steam. You only get 36 views in a week, and that's our third worst week. I mean, you know, you take the good, take the bad, you take them both, and there you have a small YouTube channel with very few subscribers. But I'm going to keep plugging along because I still like doing this. It's still fun to do, and that's mainly, if you're going to start this thing out, if you're going to do a YouTube channel and start out, you got to do it because you want to. You got to do it because you think it's fun. And I do still like doing this. There's lots of stuff I like to talk about that I can't really talk about with some of the people I know because they wouldn't want to talk about this stuff anyway. So, and today's topic might be one of those things. We're going to talk my video game strategy guide collection. Not all of it. I can't even get through. I don't think I'm going to get through this pile. But we're going to talk about a little of it. Now, I've been playing Diablo 3. Now, I bought Diablo 3 on the Xbox 360 when it first came out. And I never really played it. And I started thinking to myself, did I get a strategy guide for that thing? Because I haven't bought a strategy guide in a while. I think this might have been the last strategy guide I bought. Maybe Fallout 4's came after it. But I went looking, and sure enough, I have it. And you can tell by how good the binding is that it hasn't been used. It is a huge book. I mean, it racks in at about 462 pages. It's massive. But I haven't really needed it. Playing on normal mode, it's pretty easy to beat the game, and you don't really need it. But it used to be, before strategy guides, now a lot of people don't buy strategy guides as much because the internet will give you all the information that you need for free. But before strategy guides really started coming out, they used to put them in magazines, in the video game magazines. And in fact, in this one, there was a 6-page guide for Fear Effect. And this is the reason I kept it. This was my strategy guide for Fear Effect. So that's the reason I kept this one. In fact, here it is. This is part of the strategy guide for Fear Effect. And that's the reason I kept this issue. I got rid of most of my other video game magazines just because they take up a lot of space, and when you go to move, put about 50 magazines in a box and then lift it. And then put about 6 or 7 of those boxes together and see how heavy it gets and how heavy they start to feel. So I'm going to try to get through as many of these as I can real quick. Some of them I might put off to the side for another video. Some of them I might just... this strategy guide. Fable. I have this strategy guide. I don't have this game. I don't even have an original Xbox. I bought it because I bought this game for somebody else's Xbox so that I could play it on their Xbox, and I bought the strategy guide for it. So, yeah, but I kept the strategy guide. This might be one of my older strategy guides. Resident Evil. Resident Evil, I bought the strategy guide when I bought the game. And, I mean, you can see, it's just, that is a creepy picture. But that greets you right when you open the book. This was done in like 96 or 98, somewhere in there. And I love this. This is how they did the credits in the initial part of it. It looks like if you look down here, it looks like a movie, like one of those movie trailer screens at the end where they tell you who started and whatnot. But I thought it was really cool. This even came with an insert that has the maps and it has the items. So it came with the insert, and I still have the insert. Now, a lot of these, I probably still don't have a lot of the stuff that goes with them anymore. This one, can you guess what this one was for? Maybe not. Maybe. Maybe. There you go. Xenosaga 2. And it was called Jenseits von Gut und Böse? I don't know. I don't speak German. And that was terrible. Another one. Champions of Norath. I love this game. Told a little story about this game where a friend of ours kept... You know, you could play 4 players at the same time on this, on the same console on the PlayStation 2. But a buddy of ours kept spamming the big area spells, and we couldn't see where we were. All we would see is like his blizzard spells and things like that, and we were yelling at him constantly. Here's another game. I barely got into this game. True Crime Streets of LA. Now, as you can tell, I still have a lot of the papers. These are placeholders. You know, I would use papers as placeholders, and a lot of the papers, what they would have on them would be action replay codes. And those were my placeholders a lot of the time for these strategy guides. Here's one that you probably didn't even think had a strategy guide. State of Emergency. This was a Rockstar game, folks. Rockstar made this. It is actually a lot of mindless fun. But don't think for a second that it's like Grand Theft Auto or anything like that. This is just a mindless fun game. If there's any of these you ever want me to, you know, to get a little bit more in depth and show a little bit more of the strategy guide, let me know and I'll show it to you in the comments below. Here's a game. And you'll see some of the price tags are pretty big on this. In fact, I got this one from Electronics Boutique. So that tells you how old this one might be. Suikoden 2, one of the best JRPGs ever made. It's a great JRPG. It didn't sell well. It was made by Konami before they became jerks. And it's a pretty thick book. But I used that one quite a bit. Dragon Warrior 7. This was a very good game as well. This was actually the first Dragon Warrior game I ever played. I never played any on the NES or any other system, but I played Dragon Warrior 7 and I loved it. It's a great game. Final Fantasy Chronicles. Now, this had Final Fantasy 4 and Chrono Trigger. But for some reason, they really only feature Final Fantasy 4 on this side. But if you flip it over like this, there's your Chrono Trigger. So this was the re-release on the PlayStation of those two games. Final Fantasy X. Look at that, $15. And once again, every one of these things was anywhere from usually $9.99 upwards over $20 for these things. If you bought them at the same time as the game from GameStop or Electronics Boutique, you would get a discount. You would get like 10% off or something like that for... This is one of my favorite games of all time. I love this game. Which means they came out with, of course, weirdly enough, they came out with a sequel for this one, which always seemed odd to me. So they had Final Fantasy X2. So this is Final Fantasy X2. This is the strategy guide. There's something weird about this. See how you have to open up this strategy guide? It was very cumbersome to use because of this tab. When you would try to flip through things, and I think I know what they were trying to do with it. This was almost, but see, when you're trying to flip through it, this little tab thing is annoying. Because you're trying to flip through and the tab is just getting in the way and it's always doing this on your hand and it's annoying. It also had a really cool art book in the front of it. So that's one of the reasons I got it. I mean, it had a really cool art book and things of that nature. I'm trying to show you. See? Oh, look at that. Concept art. Something like that. But it had a cool art book in it. It was a limited edition. But the problem was I couldn't use the strategy guide really effectively because of this flap. So I said, well, this thing is still cool because of the art book in it. But what if I get another one? So I spent more money, and I spent another $15.99 to get this strategy guide, because this one is a typical strategy guide. And in fact, it works beautifully. And it still has its little thing in there. It still has this. I know who that is. I just can't remember his name. He's a bad guy. He's one of the... He always had the... He holds the little candle. He moves slowly towards you. This could be even earlier than Because this was on the, yeah, well, then this is about the same time. Driver. I actually have the strategy guide for Driver. Driver. That's right. I have the strategy guide for that. So I showed you Fear Effect. Well, Fear Effect 2. Right there. Got that one. This was a good game. Not as good as the first. The story's not as good. Rain is an okay character, but they got rid of Deke, who was actually my favorite character in the game. Deke was the funniest, and they got rid of him. This game was confusing. I'm not really sure why I have this, because I don't even remember owning this game. Valkyrie Profile. This is $15. I have this strategy guide. I don't ever remember owning this game. Ever. I know I haven't played it, so I don't know why I have that strategy guide. Nobody has given me that. I just have it. One of the greatest RPGs of all time as well. Chrono Cross, the official. And look, it has like a silvery effect on it. It's kind of cool. I love that. But it's like, yeah, Chrono Cross. Also got it from Electronics Boutique. There's a special edition cover. That's what this was. It was a special edition cover because I got it from Electronics Boutique. So they gave me a special edition cover. Then we're going to go to Lunar, the complete Silver Star story. And you can tell I use this one a lot because, once again, a lot of papers. And I was even looking through this and I go, hey, this is one of my placeholders. This is a bookmark right here. The Sims Hot Date. That's the original Sims, people. It's for Windows 95 and 98. Now we're going to get into the big books. Grand Theft Auto 5 had a really nice book. That's hardcover. Very nice book. This thing probably cost me a pretty penny. But I had to have it because I was excited about Grand Theft Auto 5. A lot of good stuff. This one also, very thick. This one weighs in at about 368 pages. Once again, it's very big. It's very thick. Has a good map. South Park, Stick of Truth. You could tell that some of the later edition ones had big, thick books. I mean, this thing is thick, but it's one of the cheaper books. This one, very nice book again. Look at that. Hardcover. Nice. Can you tell me what game it is from this cover? I thought it was Fable 3, and I was right. It is Fable 3. It's Fable 3's book. It's a very nice book. It's got very good paper in it. Some of these were just gorgeous books. Just gorgeous. Now, this one weighs in as my thickest book. If you can tell me what this game is, I'd be mighty impressed. Don't just, but this book right here, this thing is thick. It's not the most pages, but they used a very high quality paper in this. But this, Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. That's what this is. Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. This book would wreck your arms if you had to carry this thing around. That's what that meant. But you're saying they're going, do you have any with more pages than that? That thing clocks in at over 600 pages. This book clocks in at 653 pages. 653 pages. Boom. Not as high quality of paper as Kingdoms of Amalur because this Amalur sticker. Skyrim. Boom. Look at the size of that thing. Skyrim. But this doesn't have the most pages. You know what has the most pages out of all the ones I have? And it's not even as thick as Amalur. It's not as thick as Skyrim. But the one that clocks in at 752 pages. And the champion is... Look at how thick that is. The champion is... Fallout 3 Game of the Year Edition. How much stuff did they have in this game? But it is chock full of stuff. So I might do some of these more as individual books. I have more of these things. I have probably another 20 or 30 more strategy guides. And I'll go through some of these in more detail in another time. Just kind of wanted to show you that is some of what I have. This thing right here, I wish I could... This right here cost $27. $27. I can't even begin to tell you how much Skyrim. Skyrim was also $27. Amalur, I don't have the original slipcase, so it's not going to tell me how much it cost. But what do you think? Do you still use strategy guides? Do you use the internet? Did you used to use these strategy guides? Tell me about it in the comments below. And with all that being said, to the troops, past, present, and future, thanks for the freedom.